What's up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new Hijomeatman news video. Today we're going to be talking about the dark horse for the MotoGP World Championship, at least in my little personal opinion. Obviously everyone will have a different one. Make sure you leave it down in the comments. But my dark horse for the World Championship this year is Joan Mir. He's sneaking up on that championship table quietly. He's just quietly going around his business and clawing them points. Obviously only 1 point or whatever it is behind the championship leader. So we have 4 riders within a point, I think it was, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, Joan Mir, maybe a rider which people wasn't expecting to maybe fight at the front this season, or at least not consistently anyway, but we have seen that something has clicked. Him with the Ducati, he's obviously completely dethroned Alex Rins. I mean, obviously Alex Rins is injured, so we do have to have keep that in mind. But Joan Mir's just kind of come in here. He's just going around his business. He's just picking up these podiums, these consistent results, and obviously in this season with this new Michelin, where everyone's kind of just inconsistent kind of thing. 1 minute they're at the front, 1 minute you're at the back, the next you're in the middle. Everyone's kind of up, down, left, right, center. But Joan Mir, he's quietly going around his business and being consistent, which is one of the most important things, I feel, if you want to win at the championship this season. That consistency. If you can consistently be in the top 6, maybe fight or on the podium, whatever it is, it's definitely going to help out his chances of becoming the world champion this year. Obviously, he should have had a win in Austria, but we had that red flag situation. Obviously, he's picked up a couple podiums, and obviously good weekends here in Misano. The Misano GP and the Emilia Romagna GP. Just we're just going to call it Misano 2, just to keep it easy and simple. But yeah, Joan Mir, on the Suzuki. One of the I wouldn't say a perfect bike. Obviously every bike has a weakness, as one thing or another, but many riders do deem the bike the perfect bike for this season, because it seems to be one of the bikes which seems to kind of work everywhere. The Suzuki kind of it's just been there all the time, every weekend, at least with Joan Mir, and obviously some glimpse of pace from Alex Rins, who's obviously injured. But we do see the other teams, like Ducati, 1 minute they're at the front, 1 minute they're a little bit further back. Yamaha also with their engine deficit, they struggle in some certain Grand Prix. Honda, they're just nowhere at all, don't even need to talk about them. And KTM, another team, they're at the front, and then they're maybe a little bit further back, then they get back up to the front. Whereas Suzuki, they're kind of always just there. They're always in the competitive side of things every weekend, and I feel like it's super important to have that consistency for Joan Mir for the world title. I mean, he's clawed his way up. He's only a point behind, and if he continues this kind of form of being more, just consistent, just keep nailing these results, because he is one of the riders in the last bunch of Grand Prix which has racked up the most amount of points. And if he can just continue that momentum, I feel like he could definitely be one of the favorites for the world championship. I mean, if you look at the the top 4 here, I mean, obviously you got Dobby, who's winning the championship without even being competitive, which is, I mean, that's pretty crazy in itself. But then we've got Cancellara and Vinales, both Yamaha riders. The Yamaha bike isn't going to work well everywhere. There is going to be tracks where they're just not going to be good. I mean, the straight line deficit is really going to hurt them. Probably in Catalonia we might see them struggle a little bit, but the Suzuki bike obviously doesn't have that engine deficit, and it also has the great cornering. It's one of the best bikes for cornering and all that kind of stuff. So it isn't a perfect bike obviously, but it is one of maybe the more ideal bikes to be on this season. It just works everywhere. Obviously the Michelins work well with the bike also, so they're not really encountering any major issues, and that is obviously showing in the results with Joan Mir. It's just a shame that Alex Rins does have that shoulder injury, because we could have seen maybe 2 Suzukis at the front, which would have been pretty awesome. But yeah, Joan Mir, I feel like it's definitely a rider to look out for. Maybe put a little bit of money on him being a world champion. I mean, it could be a little bit of a safe bet. Who knows? Joan Mir, great rider. Obviously, we've seen throughout his whole career, you know, Moto3 just wiped the floor in that category, and he has a braking style which is similar to Marc Marquez with the way he uses the rear brake. So that's obviously, you know, just another benefit, I guess, for him. You know, the way he brakes and stuff, it's just a little bit maybe superior, I guess you could say, to maybe some of the rivals. But yeah, Moto 2 also went pretty well. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but you know, then he got jumped straight to MotoGP. You know, he skipped the contract, which he did have with Mark VDS, and obviously MotoGP, everything is just going well for him. It's chipping away, and he's getting there, and I feel like the first win is on its way. I mean, this season we're getting a lot of new winners. Obviously, Brad Binder, Miguel Oliveira, Franco Morbidelli, Quartararo, soon to be Bagnaia, I feel, and then obviously soon to be Joan Mir. You know, that's a whole bunch of new winners, which is obviously definitely exciting to see. But yeah, make sure to leave it down in the comments. Who do you think will be the world champion at the end of this season? It is a pretty hard thing to call, because everyone is so close together. I mean, I think it's like the top 10 are within 25 points or something like that, which is pretty crazy to see. But I definitely feel like Joan Mir, just because of the fact that, you know, he's always fighting at the front and he's always being consistent. I feel like he's maybe a rider which stands a slightly better chance maybe at becoming the world champion, which would definitely be interesting. Not really a rider I was expecting going into the season. Obviously, a lot of people, when we saw Marquez wasn't going to be around, everyone just pointed the fingers at Quartararo and Dobby, you know, as the favourites, maybe Maverick. But as we're seeing this year pan out, you know, it looks like, you know, maybe it's not going to be so easy for the favourites. You know, we've got Joan Mir there, we've got other riders, you know, chipping away, getting better and better, and in general, you know, it's just a great season to watch of MotoGP. So yeah, guys, make sure to leave it down in the comments. Who do you think will become the world champion at the end of the season? Got half a season to go roughly, so a lot of things could happen. And yeah, make sure to leave it down in the comments, leave a like and subscribe for more content as always, and I'll see you with some brand new videos very soon.